I mean, in this episode, the CGI effects alone, seeing the shadows in the beginning as the girl's walking down the street, climb up the side of the building, being afraid of any dark corner in your house, the idea, it's very primal. The idea that something is lurking in the shadows is very literally true in this episode. And we see them bring it to life in a creative way that doesn't show anything either. In the lore, the Deva is an entity that can only be seen, you can only see its shadow. It exists, but you can only see its shadow, which appears as a shrouded humanoid figure. But what they did with this, not only just how they made it climb, it makes it climb up walls, giving it this creepy, unearthly feeling. There's nothing you can combat. There's nothing you can fight. And yet it also allows us to show some fucked up horror, some genuine stabbing and slashing and almost attempted disembowelment without actually showing us this gore and this violence.
It's Kripke relying on traditional fear. What goes bump in the night?
Literally.
Utilizing the classic paint by numbers. I'm not saying that as a negative, but the classic rules of horror. What? Fear of the unknown. Because that's scary. That is the basis of all genres of horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fear of the unknown. And when you look at dark corners or shadows, that is the very definition of the unknown. You don't know what's lurking in the shadows. And then you use that. Kripke utilizes the phobia of the dark. I don't think there's a person on this planet who was not afraid of the dark as a child.
Oh, dude. Still to this day, man. Like, there's certain things that just
turn on the lights.
Yeah, you're like, fuck, man, just turn the light on real quick.
Yeah. And you're right. It's the phobia of the dark. It's the phobia of what lurks in the shadows, which is a natural instinct. We're terrified of what we don't understand, what we can't rationally think through. It's a caveman thing. The thing that lurked in the shadows was the thing that was going to eat us. That's why we were afraid of it. There's a reason that it has always represented fear in literature as we try and tell these stories and as we're trying to confront it. It's primal. It really is.
Yeah.
And with that, and you see it, we say all the time with what you don't see, the human imagination allows us to...
It's far worse.
It's far worse. And it allows us to fill all those gaps.
Yeah.
So whether it's the shadow moved or your image in the reflection in a mirror moved or something beneath the water that you can't see or the thing that knocked on the door that you open the door and it's gone. You know, all these little things that what we don't see and what we don't understand terrifies us. And shadows are very primal because you can't escape it.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears as a child was the shadow, and not afraid of myself per se, but 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, alone at night, and you see your shadow, you pray, just like with the mirror, you pray that your shadow doesn't move unless you move.
Man.
I
See,
don't
that
know.
never got me.
I don't know if it goes back to like Nightmare on Elm Street or movies like that utilize horror, but it always has worked for me. I'm always afraid that what if my shadow moves?
Oh, it's so creepy, dude.
It's no different than the mirror thing. Mirrors do the same thing.
Yeah, mirrors. Yeah.
You know, you always, when you're in that little mood of being afraid after a horror movie or whatever might have, created the fear inside of you, I avoid mirrors. I'm an adult and I'm walking in my house at night and I have a mirror above our piano.
You're like, nope.
Don't look at it in the dark.
I don't look at it in the dark. I walk
in the daylight.
And I ignore my my peripheral vision as well because I don't want to see anything move.
No. But that's the worst part because it's out of our peripherals that we see it move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And other movies, like you said, have taken this example and ran with it, whether that's Nightmare on Elm Street or the terrifying. One of the best shots from one of the Paranormal Activity movies is when the drape in the as they're hanging clothes slams onto the demon and it takes the shape of a person and then it just disappears.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yep. And in this episode...
That's fantastic. You bite your tongue. That's scary.
It's terrifying. And in this episode, I definitely thought of the movie Ghost and how...
the Patrick Swayze, huh?
Even that's scary.
The demons from hell literally leech out of the shadows and drag your soul to hell. The same shot of Meg being dragged out the window.
It was just that way.
Is exactly the same from Ghost.
Where is Patrick Swayze?
He's moaning,
he's dead.
howling.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
No, I know he's dead, dummy.
These moaning, howling, disturbed, violent
like
voices.
This? Oh.
Well, that is disturbing.
Oh, Oh God!
Brian would be the sexual
Take
ghost.
me, Meg.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh wait, it's supposed to be the other way around, huh? My bad.
But when I